Good morning. Happy weekend. Karen from Quantum Heart Awakening. Let's do, what are we doing today? Let's do a twin flame check-in. I'm just debating doing it in a different way today. So normally I do all the columns, but let's just see, let's just do a general and see what comes out. Okay, Spirit, what do we need to know for the Twin Flame Collective? What are we all confronting right now? What are the blocks that are showing up? What would support us in overcoming these blocks? Okay. Ooh, geez, okay. All right. We have heartache and loss, we have suffering and silence, and we have crown chakra. Ooh, dense energy. Okay, so here's the thing that happens often with every new evolution of ascension and transformation. Anytime we access a new awareness, we have an awakening, anytime we can confront and understand these new pieces of self, it's okay and it makes sense if you start to look back at past scenarios, past situations, past relationships, past moments where you didn't have as much awareness, right? And sometimes that can be a little cringy, right? But just know that if you're feeling cringe, if you're feeling regret over, what you said, didn't say, what you did, what you didn't do, know that anytime you feel cringe, it's the universe's way of giving you a nod that you have overcome that pattern of behavior and now you know better. That's why it's cringy. That's why you can actually perceive cringe, because you are no longer where you were in that moment. Anything else for anything else? Man, okay. So yeah, we had prosperity begins in reverse. So I'm all over the place this morning. It's a slow weekend morning. Bear with me. Okay. So it makes sense that if you now have access to these new ideas, these new perspectives and perceptions of how, you behaved, how someone else behaved, it can, let's honor how difficult that process is to look back with the lens of wisdom and see yourself, to truly see a situation. Now, mind you, every situation that you're coming into relationship with, it is just a perception. Unless you're having these talks with this person, place, or thing, you are just this information is being pulled from your experience and your experience only. Yes, let me honor your profound intuitive system. Let me honor your profound ability to, empathize and understand the situation. However, until these two people or two things or two organizations or whatever the dynamic is, until these two people are sitting in a room speaking their truth to one another, we really don't know the full situation. So let's honor that even though we may be confronting this density right now over grief, this heartache, this loss, this, this suffering, it is still from one side, right? It's still us looking back at our own choices, at our own behaviors. Okay. Sorry, this reading is a little choppy, but the density of the emotion is so profound. I just happened to look down. I didn't even I just happened to look down and we have the shadow. Wait, let me move this down a little bit. So I just laugh that what is being pushed into the shadow is a shadow. So for some of you very wise, intuitive, brilliant, minds that are taking another step forward on this twin flame path, you know what your shadows are. I bet most of you can list 3 things right now that you've been avoiding looking at, that you've been avoiding taking accountability for, or avoiding stepping into vulnerability. There's a higher call. There's a call to something higher happening in this moment, unfurling for the collective, the twin flame collective right now. You know what it's really funny. Do you see these two, I don't know, holy people holding this, I don't know what to call it, a staff or something? You know, in sports teams, when they, like on baseball, when they need to figure out who pitches first, they'll put their hands like one fist over the other until you get to the top of the bat. And I don't know if that's a thing or if I've just seen that in movies, but it's reminding me of that. So, what they're showing me is it's almost like what's being pushed into the shadow is who's going to go first. Like which party, which either, and mind you, let's remember that this could be your internal feminine and internal masculine, or your external feminine and your external masculine. So there's almost like a fight to see who goes first, meaning you don't want to go first. In the realm of shadows, in the realm of who's going to be vulnerable first, it's like the thing that everyone's avoiding. So in fact, the person that ends up at the top is actually the one that loses because they have to go first, right? There's something here, feminines and masculines, and I'm going to call you, because that's what's coming through. I'm going to call you to something higher. I'm going to call you to a higher accountability, to trust in this vulnerability, to trust that you are loved, worthy, and supported despite what type of vulnerability shows up, what flows through you. You are still worthy. You still have access to this divine knowing through your crown chakra. It's there waiting, willing, and wanting to flow through you, to gift you all of this awareness. But by you withholding your truth, by you looking away. Like, isn't this card interesting? We have a suffering in silence card, and it's this, I'm assuming it's a woman, and she's like at the edge of a cliff with a staff. You could tell she had an arduous journey up this mountain of pain and suffering. And now she's looking at the horizon. She's looking at this beautiful sun. I don't know if it's setting. I don't know if it's rising. It kind of looks like it's rising, actually. She is able to gain some perspective. And you know what's funny? I've never looked at this card with this beautiful, lighthearted, positive spin on it. It's a suffering in silence card. It's a very dense energy, but honestly, all I see is hope, almost like she conquered her suffering. She's looking at the horizon to the next thing. Wouldn't you think that if someone was drowning in suffering, that her head would be down and she would be a little bit more forlorn, right? No, she's looking ahead to the future. She's looking out after she's conquered this suffering. So there's a message here for feminines and masculines that maybe you are in the integration process or the embodiment process of your pain, of your grief. This would actually fit into the narrative that we're peeling back the layers on in this reading. Okay, let's see what else is here. Let's get some other cards. All right, Spirit, what do we need to know about this Twin Flame Collective? What would support them in this next leg of their journey? In their next, okay, we have Medicine Guardian. Be open to healing information. And I'll take all these, why not? We have we have Summer card, Bask in Joy and Light, but it was in reverse. You know, it's funny because this actually feels very much what this woman is doing in this card. We have Hunter in reverse, track down your fears and desires. I'm going to put that right on this shadow card because, again, What are you avoiding excavating in your own soul? What are you turning away from? Because that's what's going to bring in this prosperity. That's what's going to unlock this divine wisdom from flowing through your life, from you trusting this divine wisdom that's in you and all around you all of the time. And then we have trust your instincts. Anything else, Spirit? Anything else? Wow. I'm getting a separate message about, can you see this card where it's this kind of, we have this seed, or it almost looks like a pit, but we have the seed from which these roots are growing. What I just saw was the hands actually blocking the growth, even though the tree is still growing. Ignore that for a second. There's something here about, because this card is in reverse, there's something about like that we all have a hand in blocks, in that which is blocking our growth. We have a direct effect on how far we grow, how in what directions we grow. Let me see. We also have healing through the lineage, and I'm just going to take one more. And we have great teacher, learn from spiritual experiences. Okay. This message is very clear today. Hold on. I wasn't going to do this, but in the unconscious position, we have the mountains. We have stand your ground, but it's in the shadow position. It's what's being pushed into the unconscious. So the message I'm receiving from this is that what you're pushing into the shadows is the part of you that will stand your ground, that will hold your center for love in chaos. And what is the chaos in this reading? The chaos in this reading is you getting in the way of your own growth. So you are pushing into the shadows, the warrior part of you that will stand your ground and fight for a better life, fight for a better perspective, fight for a deeper truth. Wow. Is there anything else, Spirit, to say about that? That's not a small message here. I just want to give that some space. So our job is to bring love to the parts of self that are terrified to look accountability in the eye, that are so in such a fear over looking vulnerability in the eye, and parent those parts of self that feel helpless and hopeless and freaked out. Our job is to comfort. Our job is to excavate that inner, I don't even want to use the word warrior because it feels like we're going to battle. I want to embody this woman's energy. She has this little tool. It's not a fancy tool. She's not wearing a ton of hiking gear. She's barefoot. She scaled this cliff barefoot with a stick. It's a very humble image. It's a very humble image, meaning she had everything within her to get to the top, to see the horizon again, to let the sun, shine on her face again through adversity, through pain, through grief. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Anything else, Spirit? What do we need to know? What would support the collective from excavating? Okay, then. From excavating vulnerability. Yeah, stepping into deeper self-love. I'll just put that there. Okay, I mean, this has come up over and over again, and it makes sense. Worthiness is part of our collective work as a community. We have effort, we have self-discipline, and let me see. No, let me do this. Hold on. Sorry. Self-love, environment in reverse, self-discipline, and effort. Okay. I feel like I've said this so many times in different readings, but your self-love, your relationship which you have with yourself, is only going to get better if you choose to work on it. The way you feel about yourself, the way you feel about your perceived shortcomings, the way you feel, whether or not you can rely on yourself. Are you a reliable person for yourself? Do you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it? Or do you, say, oh, I should go for a walk, and then don't do it? Anytime you have a little bit of a should statement showing up in your life, really try to perceive that as an intuitive hit. If you feel like you should do something, that word should, why you chose the word should is because you have two parts within yourself combating each other. You have the higher self who knows exactly that walk around the block after a big meal would be the best thing for you. And then you have this other part that doesn't want to go for a walk for whatever reasons. And those two parts are going to battle within your heart, within your mind, within your ego. So now who's going to win? That's what you have to ask yourself. And you have to remind yourself that whoever loses that battle, you have to bear the repercussions of. You have to bear the consequences of whoever wins or loses. Yes, if you win, everybody wins. If you lose, everybody loses. And when I say everybody, I mean yourself, your internal parts, right? So it's up to you to build an interior environment within your heart, within your own mind, within your own psyche, that allows these other parts to feel safe, to feel welcome, to speak their truth. But your higher self has to be the one to make the effort to step into this kind of self-discipline. Now, a separate message is coming up here. So isn't it interesting? I don't know if you could see this. Yeah, it's on camera. So we have these two red cards sandwiching this environment and effort cards. For me, these are root chakra cards. Root chakra is your family of origin. It's the hard drive that you were born with, that was implanted by your lineage, right? It's the belief, it's like the collective family beliefs. It's the whether you had self-esteem in your family or not, all these things are coming up to be healed and to take accountability for, because you're hold on because you're being called to step into this individuation process. This is a Carl Jungian term, right? Individuating is that process of excavating the self and carving out everything that's not self. Individuating from your parents, from your family of origin, from your culture, from your country. Who are you without all these external things? Can you govern self, or do you need an external leader? How sovereign are you? This is the work. This is the work of excavating the self-love. Maybe it's been hidden. Maybe it's been beaten down by, your culture's beliefs. This is your work. No one's going to show up and do this work for you. Okay. Where else are we going, Spirit? Give me a moment. Let's see. I feel like we need some self-care cards. All right. Dense reading, but very, very clear message. All right, let's see. What else, Spirit? What else do we need to know? What else are we confronting? All right, we have focus. If you focus on what you don't want, there's a good chance you might get it. Focus on what you do want instead. Yeah, this is a message of coming into deeper clarity. And here's the thing. We can't focus. This is the double-edged sword of doing this work. You can't possibly focus on what you do want without taking accountability for what's in the way of what you want, right? Say you want to make $1 million, I don't know, or $100 or whatever it is, or say you want to find a really cool item at a garage sale. I don't know, whatever it is. You can't possibly go and make that happen for you if you're not willing to take action towards it, right? If you love garage sales and you really love finding that one item that's like a gem in the storm or something. That's not the phrase. What is it? A gem in the whatever. what do you have to do? You have to get up, you have to maybe go online or drive around, and you have to actually take action and move your physical vessel to like find out where the garage sales are. Then you have to go there. You have to make sure you have enough gas in the car. You have to do all these little, check things. You have to, wait, is it on here? Yeah, you have to do all these things on your checklist to get to this thing that you want. However, if you just say, oh, I'd really love to find a cool item at a garage sale and sell it for way more than I bought it for, and then you stay in bed all weekend, you are robbing yourself of the potential, right? It's not saying you're guaranteed of this thing, but by not taking action, you're guaranteeing yourself that it will not happen. You're solidifying, that's not the word, solidifying your future by robbing yourself of this opportunity. So what's showing up for you? Okay. What else do we have? We have invitation. The words you speak are an invitation to life, a request to bring energy into form. Choose your words carefully. Yeah, so this is so important. So the first part of, stepping into sovereignty is being sovereign within your own interior castle. What is the language you speak about yourself? What is the language you speak over your life? If you cannot control even what comes out of your mouth, you're not going to be able to control these bigger, heavy hitter, big things that we have to overcome, right? So your first step is to invite yourself, to invite love over your life, to invite blessings, to speak about yourself and your life as if you were a prayer, because it is a prayer. Oh, I'm getting emotional because that's a really beautiful thing, right? To step into, to understand that every soul that has incarnated here in a body has been a prayer. And we are quite literally prayers in motion. That's a really beautiful idea. And oh my God, look what we have. We have sovereign. This is like my word of every day. Hold on, let me stop crying. It says, you are the queen of your life. Treat yourself like royalty. And you've heard me too often talk in twin flame readings about throne and this kind of like regal energy. There's something really important about that we all have a throne. Whether we're sitting on it or not speaks to where we are on our path. But just acknowledging, even if you are in the trenches of self, even if you are in the trenches of suffering, if you can just remember that you have a throne there that's yours. It came with you when you incarnated here. Your higher self, that's where your higher self sits. It's always there waiting for you. Sorry, I'm really touched by this whole freaking narrative right now. It's just a really beautiful message to know that no matter what shitstorm you're in right now or what flavor of chaos you're dealing with, that there is a throne there waiting for you no matter what storm you're going through, there's this access to this higher way of life, this higher perspective, this higher way of being. It's always there. It's just there. And I think it's really easy to forget that when we get, caught up in life or burnt out or, really overwhelmed. There was a few days, actually, many days where I didn't record any readings, and I was so freaking burnt out. I didn't realize it, but I was so operating. I was like running on empty. I was really burning the candle at both ends, trying to get my office situated, trying to get my website up and running. And I was just so burnt out. I was so sensory overloaded. I was very dysregulated. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do a reading and channel for these delightful people when I'm in this place when I've nothing more to give. And so I had to really reclaim that balance for myself, but it took work, and I'm still not even fully back, but I'm more back than I was. But no one could do that work for me. And I think sometimes the hardest thing with burnout is the more burnt out you are, the less aware that you're burnt out. So for me, I was burnt out to begin with, and then I just kept taking on more and more and more and more, and it really, oh, it was not good. It was a little scary at one point because I wasn't even aware of it, right? I was just like excited, and I wanted these things to exist in the world, and I wanted to help more people and do all the things, and my body was like, nope, no thank you. It's not going to it's not going to happen. Um yeah, sorry, I just had to look in the unconscious position really quick. We have this space card. It says the quality of your life has more to do with what you remove from your life than what you add to it. Give yourself the gift of space. I'm not going to say anything about that. That speaks for itself. Okay. Let's feel into the core message of this reading. For me, that was, I mean, you can extract your own message, but for me, this reading was about looking your blocks in the eye and taking accountability for what's in the way of you taking this next step towards your horizon, towards your prosperity, towards implementing this divine wisdom that's hovering right over your head, literally your crown. This wisdom is like, it's like your direct telephone to God, direct telephone to the quantum field. It's literally one call away. It's all sitting there waiting for you to tap into it. So now I'm going to ask, is there anything else we need to know? What would support this collective from overcoming these things, for taking a step towards this accountability? I don't know if you've noticed, but accountability almost comes up in every twin flame reading. It's a very difficult thing because the twin flame path is literally, I love how Carolyn May says it. She says, your soulmate, is not this Disney fairy tale thing. Your soulmate is literally a mate, a teammate to get you to advance your soul. So it's not this airy fairy lovey dovey, whatever thing. It is a hero's journey for you to come into your most sovereign self, for you to come into your strengths, to your gifts, for you to confront all the places that are blocking you, that you're terrified of. It's not this so on the twin flame path, if you've gone a few rounds with an external person, you know what that feeling is like. The best way I had someone describe it is like, you're like two magnets and you magnetize together, right? And then there might be lovey-dovey, whatever, and then all of a sudden you have your first explosion, and you quite literally, like magnets flipping the other way, you repel off of one another, because looking that other person or circumstance in the face is too jarring for the ego to swallow. So you have to get the frick away from it. You literally run in opposite directions away from one another to go. And why is it built that way? So you go by yourself and try to integrate what the heck just happened. And in that sacred integration process, you learn about yourself. You learn about your wants, your needs, your desires, your fears, your boundaries. You learn how to implement boundaries. You learn how to communicate, how to open your throat chakra and use your voice. You learn where you are limited. So no matter how painful that freaking process is, it is always for your evolution. Now, I'm not talking about trauma. I'm not talking about true abuse here. And it is one of the most difficult things to discern. What is a trauma bond? What is enough abrasion for me to advance my soul? They're very difficult to look at. And if you think it's trauma, then take accountability for your own side of the street. What attracted you to that situation? Do you have patterns in your life? Were you raised with certain patterns that inform your current choices? Like, this is the deep, sacred, psychological excavation so that you can understand self. If you don't do this psychological excavation, you'll go to the next relationship and the next situation. And I'm not even just talking about romantic. I'm talking about, like, you might have an abusive relationship with your boss or with a family member or whatever that looks like for you. So if you don't do this, you'll find more often than not that you're repeating this cycle in other places in your life. So remember, we are talking about higher relating here, conscious relating. Okay, we got good juju in reverse and also speak up. I think I just said about opening the throat chakra and taking accountability, true accountability for your truth. All right, anything else, Spirit? Anything else? Whew. It's hard. This work is the hardest work I've ever done in my life, and it's also the most rewarding. It's that which will move the needle the most. This is why this work is so enticing. I think Teresa of Avila talks about how I'm going to botch her very beautiful words, but basically, like, when you are called by the divine, I mean, she uses God, when you are called by God to excavate a deeper truth about yourself, you will not be able to stop until you understand it. Now, yes, that could sound a little unhealthy, but in the highest, if I look at that through the highest and best interpretation, it is your soul's deepest desire to live and exist in its truth. Now, when the soul comes into a human limited vessel, it becomes limited. It becomes small. It is at the mercy of the ego and social constructions and all these things. Your soul is trying to get you to be free, to be sovereign in this lifetime, to step into your power, to live from this place of truth. Okay, anything else, Spirit? Anything else? We have sacred lust and resistance. 22 card and a 26 card. Wow, those are my two numbers, by the way. Like, personally, those are my favorite numbers. Wow. There's so much coming off of these cards. I'm not going to say a lot because this feels like a whole other reading. If some of you have been having resistance towards taking a step towards a person, that might behoove you, right? That might be protecting you. If something isn't a conscious sacred sexuality, if it doesn't feel sacred, then it's important that you honor that resistance that you're feeling. That's all I'm going to say about that. And then I'm going to end quickly on a Buddha wisdom. We have wisdom dispels ignorance. Beautiful. I'm going to leave it there. Intense reading. Hope it was supportive, and I will see you in the next one.